Hi, welcome back to another episode of Budget Prepping. I'm your host, Dr. Matt. And in this episode, I want to talk about market indicators. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on in the news about how tariffs and the stock market's up and down, and gold and silver up and down, and all that sort of thing. But if you consider some of the sources are those that I have are panic people, like, oh, the sky is falling, and others are actually quite conservative. A couple of CPAs, for example. And I am one of those people that do ask questions. I do have my MBA, so I think I can ask some educated questions as well. But things I keep track of is layoff tracker on a warning site for that. And then I keep track of the unemployment rate, weekly jobs claims, new ones, in fact, a bank health rating system, a failed bank list, which is amazing. The central bank digital currency tracker map. So, of course, the debt clock, got to keep track of that. And the inversion chart, and that's really kind of one. I'll come back to that one. That was an interesting one. And then, of course, the usual, what today's market stuff's going on, what's the trend look like, but number of building permits going on, and durable goods sales, and, of course, the gross domestic product published, but also the one that's predicted as well coming out of the Fed out of Atlanta. Of course, the annual inflation rate, and I do consider both types, the core goods and then the one that includes everything, the pre-1981 calculation, if you will. The price of the dollar, and then, of course, the economic calendar. I keep track of all the big announcements type stuff. But going back to the inversion chart, that's the one that really got my attention. That's the treasury bills or T-bills or bonds, if you want, the government bonds. And you take the 10-year rate minus the 2-year rate. And sometimes it's positive, and weirdly, sometimes it's negative, which means the 2-year pays more than the 10-year. Well, that happens in certain situations, usually in a high inflation type thing. But from there, it really kind of snowballs to when it goes back to being positive or neutral. That's usually when the Fed is starting to lower rates again. And commonly what happens is the Fed only has to reduce rates 2 or 3 times, and then we have a recession. So guess what? All the indicators are saying we are in fact headed toward a recession. Now, I bring that up because, of course, none of this is 100%, and this is not financial advice. But I was given financial advice from a certified economic advisor, and he strongly suggested that I convert my Roth or my 401k into a Roth IRA during right after a stock market collapse, because that's going to have the lowest impact on me taxes. Because what will happen is I would have to liquidate pretty much enough to pay all the taxes and then convert it over to a Roth from that perspective. So it is a way to not have to pay taxes on it later. That's kind of the intent of that. But timing that with a right after a major stock market crash, that's actually pretty smart to me. Made perfect sense. In my case, I chose to convert everything from the traditional funds that you would jump into petroleum and a couple of more dubious companies like Halliburton and BlackRock. And during the '08 recession, I actually grew my account 12%. And I was told by my broker that I was the only customer he had that actually made money during that time. And basically, it's because I didn't follow his advice. So anyway, you would certainly want to have a conversation with your financial advisor. Again, I don't give financial advice. I will freely tell you what I've done in my house. But that is up to you. It's your own money, so do what you wish, but you might want to consider that. And if you poise yourself getting ready for this, who knows? April 30th, by the way, is the big gross domestic product announcement for round 1 of what could be a likely a negative GDP. And that covers 3 months, so these are announced quarterly. And 2 consecutive negatives is actually the official definition of a recession. So we could be halfway to a recession announced in the first week of May. So anyway, thought you should know. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you next time. Bye.